hello, and welcome. Welcome to Guitar Chat. Here we are again. I hope you guys are doing fine. We are almost the end of the spring, maybe beginning of the summer. I hope everyone's having a good time now. And we are in the Guitar Chat number 43, 43rd episode already. I just can't believe it. I couldn't be happier, to be honest, because we are building this beautiful community, this beautiful family. You guys at the other side of the screen, and we are here having chats and, learning from all our guests, knowing about their stories, their wisdom of the music, of gear, of life in general as well. And I mean, I'm having a blast, and I hope you guys are too. So, of course, Guitar Chat is brought to you by Vegatrem, the best tremolo systems in the world for sure. And as you might know already, being part of this family has its perks because we are doing a giveaway every show. The only thing you need to do to be eligible to get into this giveaway is two things. You have to be subscribed to our YouTube channel and leave a comment in any of our live streams, for instance, this one. Also, if you give us a like, that's gonna help us a lot with with this thing, the algorithm. Not only on YouTube, but also on Facebook. Either way, you can hit like as well on Facebook and leave a comment, and that way you will also be eligible to enter in our giveaway. So whichever one you like more, you can see us from any one of those two platforms. So, for instance, the winner from last week is Mr. Greg Silcox. Congratulations, Greg! You're gonna be receiving a VT1 shortly at your home. We're so nice. We we even deliver it to your home. So you're gonna be having your VT1 pretty soon. Also, I always say this, we also have a discount code with which you can go to our website and purchase one VT1 or maybe several of them. There's no limit in the quantity. The only thing is that you have to use it just once. It's only valid for one purchase, but you can use it for more than one tremolo. So that's another good deal in my opinion as well. So, having said that, without further ado, let's talk about today's guest. This week on Guitar Chat, we have a guest who's one of the biggest names in the progressive rock scene ever since the 70s. He is the original guitar player and the longest continuous member of the British rock band Marillion. With 20 studio albums and several live recordings, they have sold over 15 million albums worldwide. They just released their newest album An Hour Before Dark. Outside Marillion, he has recorded several solo albums and two records as part of the duo The Wishing Tree. So we're honored and happy to have a chat with one of the greatest pro guitar players ever, Mr. Steve Rothery. Welcome. Steve, welcome. Thank you very
Hi,
much for
my
doing
pleasure.
this. Welcome to Guitar Chat. And yeah, you just told me you came back from touring right now.
Yeah, we played the Cruise to the Edge. It's like a music festival at sea. Kind of progressive rock bands and lots of sort of quite a lot of jazzers and jazz fusion guys as well.
Uh-huh.
Um, we've done it several times in the past. Difference this time, there was a big question mark. It's been postponed a couple of years because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone was tested before they got on the boat. So it was going to theoretically, it was going to be a COVID-free ship. Uh,
Okay.
Unfortunately, that didn't work out, and probably about 75% of the people who hadn't had the COVID before finished up getting it, including a lot of musicians.
Oh wow. And you were among them, right?
Yeah, myself and my wife, Ian Mosley, our drummer.
Uh-huh.
I think probably Pete as well, our bass player.
Right.
Um, but yeah, loads of people I've spoken to. Simon Phillips, a lot of his band. Yeah, loads of musicians. So
Oh my God,
it,
I bet it was a little difficult, right? Maybe some people, because of that, they start thinking about going back in terms of doing concerts and gigs and things like that. But they shouldn't. I think. I mean, I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
It's a really tricky one. I mean, we did a tour, first tour in 2 years in November in the UK, and we were bubbling, and not even our wives or partners with us on the road, and that was really depressing. And but that was just what we needed to do, because if we'd have had to cancel the tour, it would have cost us £100,000.
Yeah.
And again, with this, I took every precaution before the cruise. So you had to be tested just before you got the day before you got on the boat. So I didn't do anything. We only kind of ate outside. I turned down a trip to the Kennedy Space Center. So you take all these precautions. At the end of the day, all it takes is to be in the lift with someone, or stood next to someone at Starbucks on the boat, and 2.5 years of being careful just goes out of the window, really.
So it was your first time catching oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think maybe we are in a slightly easier position now, because I think the Omicron variant isn't as severe as the original one or the Delta. I mean, I just had like a bad head cold, really, but kind of a feeling of tiredness. I think a lot of people seem to have this, where it just wipes you out for a week, where you just have zero energy. I don't know about yourself if you've had it, but
yeah.
So it's one of those things. We have to learn to live with it, but people should still be careful. And if there's a choice to wear a mask, I don't see there's any shame in wearing one.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I personally, when I'm going out, on the street, I'm not wearing masks anymore. But when I see crowded places and things like that, I'm like, okay, you know what? Now I need to wear one. Or if I use public transportation, things like this, But it's just, and I respect everyone's opinions, But I'm just trying to, to protect myself. That's all.
Exactly. That's all you can ever do, and that's what we've been so careful for so many years, But then you place in that situation in a boat, and it's like this floating petri dish, really. So if there's anything that's going around, you're going to get it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So and we almost knew that was going to happen, but you have to try and, I think, balance the risks with having a life, and I think that's where we're getting to now.
That's right.
And that's all down to personal choice and not taking risks you don't have to, but not becoming a recluse or a hermit, which is so easy to do when people have had this enforced isolation for so long, to get this kind of mindset, I don't want to go out anymore, you know what I mean? And it kind of very just kind of hibernate in your little hole, So, I mean, you've got to live life.
That's for sure. You have to live your life, and you also have to play, because you're a musician.
Exactly.
And these past 2 years have been so hard for all of us, right?
It really has.
I mean, how was your experience with the whole lockdown thing? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, touring wise, the only thing we had was the Cruise to the Edge, which we got moved anyway.
Okay.
But then I was we were working on the new Marillion album when things kind of start to get really serious, and I made the choice to shelter, to isolate, because I've got type 2 diabetes and other things. So it was very important for me not to get, especially in the early days, to get the virus before the vaccines arrived. So there was a few months when I wasn't working with a band, but I do have a studio at home, so I did some work here. And then we kind of get together and do a few months, and it's kind of been up and down, really, as things changed. And I managed to keep myself pretty optimistic through the first year and a half. It was only, I think, when the Delta variant arrived, and oh, you've had the vaccine, whippy, and the Delta variant bypasses most of that protection,
that was like a cold water shot, on top of your head, right?
I think so many people in the world, including musicians, have had to deal with this kind of underlying depression of our lives have changed. It's like 2019, I did more touring around the world than any other time, which was just as well, because come 2020, that door comes down, and that life is over, at least in the short term.
I'm pretty sure it must have been pretty shocking, right?
It was very strange, yeah. But I mean, we got on. We wrote and recorded the Marillion album, which has been incredibly well received, and
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because I've
So,
been listening to it. It's a great job.
oh,
It's
cheers,
amazing. Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. So again, some of that I recorded with the band. We went to Real World to record some of it and shot the documentary. I've got a studio here in my garage, which is soundproofed with Pro Tools and tons of more equipment than most recording studios and music shops. So
I'm
you know,
pretty sure you were kind of happy about that, or not?
yeah, no,
Okay.
it's good. It's good to have your man cave you can escape to and noodle around. And some of the solos on the album I actually recorded in there,
Okay.
my
Okay.
garage. I sort of recorded them and comped them together, then and upload. Um, we kind of share the files via WeTransfer, and Mike Hunter, the producer, brings them all in and builds up
Okay.
the tracks as the tracks develop.
Uh-huh.
So it's been a pretty cool way of working. I've kind of recorded bits and pieces in there over the last nearly 30 years really for various Marillion albums. But yeah, it was really good in this situation to have that option.
Yeah, I mean that's for sure. That was a trend that was gaining force, in my opinion. The that thing of recording everyone their own parts by themselves. But now after the pandemic, I think it's here to stay because it's pretty convenient.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I think there's nothing better than being in the room with the people when you're getting the ideas.
True.
So
That's true. Yes.
so you get the framework for the structure of a piece of music. But then once you know what everyone's doing, yeah, it's good to have that freedom to be able to take it away and experiment and try different sounds or different guitars. So yeah, that's kind of worked. It's worked pretty well for us.
Nice, nice. So you've been playing with Marillion for what, 40 years,
Yeah,
something like that?
43 years this year.
Oh my God,
Yeah, that's
that's a lifetime. That's
it. Really is a
incredible.
lifetime. It's a couple of lifetimes actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's strange. When I look back, the 19-year-old me that kind of gave up everything just for the dream and joined what wasn't really even a band at that time, but it was what I wanted to do. To try and
Okay.
be a professional musician. So you got what you got to do. You got to follow your dreams.
That's right. That's right. But how was that whole process? Because I mean, everyone. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everyone starts like an amateur, right? Like you just pick up the guitar and you're just like, let's see where this thing takes me, right? And all
Yeah,
of the sudden, like 43 years later, you have this huge career, this legacy, of records, of music, of tours.
I suppose. Yeah, in some ways, I was quite young when I joined Marillion. I mean, I only started playing the guitar when I was 15, and kind of 16 seriously. I left
Okay.
school at 16 and played the guitar for about 10 hours a day. Pretty much self-taught. I had a couple of books I learned from, like a chord dictionary, a book called Improvising Rock Guitar by a guy called Pat Thrall,
Okay.
which kind of all the scales and bending and vibrato and all that sort of stuff. Came with one of those little floppy disk records that you would have to put
Oh
a
yes.
coin on to get it to play.
Uh-huh.
So that, yeah, a little bit of ragtime guitar, a little tiny bit of classical guitar, just for some elementary finger picking technique,
Okay.
and then just play guitar all day, every day. And then when I was 17, joined my first band. Then when I was 19, joined Marillion. So it was yeah.
Wow. So was it like your second band or something like that?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, my first band was just like school friends, where you play covers and you
Yeah.
go and play the bars, and but we were pretty dreadful. We're one of those. Yeah, when young bands, you start off and you don't really know what you're doing, and people ask you to stop after the second song. That's not really going that well. So that happened a couple of times, but
Well, that's part of the whole process, right?
it is really. It's like paying your dues, as they say. You've got to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So, did you were you? I mean, you just told me you learned with books and things like that. But did you have any like a formal music education at all, or a teacher or
no,
something like that? Nothing.
No, I didn't study music at school. The extent of my music school education was in primary school when I was about 6 or 7. I think we were given these empty paint tins to hit with sticks. And that was the only music lesson I ever had.
Oh, wow.
But the guitar always fascinated me. I originally wanted to play the piano, but it didn't work out. And a friend of mine had a really beaten up acoustic, and I just thought it was such a magical thing that when I was 15, I got my first guitar, which was like a Sumbro Strat copy. And like a really cheap little amplifier, and I was in heaven.
Nice. Yeah. Of course, like every
Yeah,
other kid, right? Like
yeah.
with a guitar. I don't know what the guitar has that is so appealing to young kids. I mean, still today, because nowadays you see kids on Instagram like shredding and doing
Oh
amazing
yeah.
things, right? I don't know. It doesn't go out of trend. I don't know why.
Well, there's something just so. I mean, it can be anything you want on a guitar. I think that's the thing. There's so many different styles, so many different disciplines. How you want to approach it. If you want to be like the ultimate technician, or if you just want to crash out a few power chords, you don't have to take it in any one direction. You have this amazing choice, I think, which is what's so magical about it. And I think it gives you something that no other instrument can do, because it's all under your fingers, and how you hit the strings and how you bend and how you add vibrato and all these things that make it so individual from player to player, and makes it more alive than most instruments.
It's true. It's true. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So, who were your heroes when you were growing up? When you were like doing your first steps with rock and roll?
um I mean, it was progressive rock really that kind of pulled me in. I played some other stuff later on, like in the covers thing, but originally it was players like Dave Gilmour and Steve Hackett and Andy Latimer from Camel. Carlos Santana, actually, I used to love the like Abraxas, Caravanserai kind of time.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, man, Santana.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then I've discovered Hendrix, a whole range of players, the Jeff Beck, Jimmy Pages of this world, and then later on Eddie Van Halen, so it was loads of different players, but I mean the first and the main three were Gilmour, Hackett, and Latimer.
Yeah, that's. I mean, of course, with those references, of course, the music that you were gonna create was gonna be something special, because I mean those are just amazing. Do you consider when you guys started with Marillion and everything, uh, you guys consider yourselves like heirs from that first progressive rock generation?
Well, the band that I joined, which was then called Silmarillion, was a little bit more kind of Rush influenced. It was a bit of Rush and a bit of Camel.
Okay.
As that changed over the years, and by the time Fish joined, it had more of, I suppose, of a Genesis influence,
Okay.
but also tempered by everything that had happened in the UK with punk and new wave. So it wasn't just like a recreation of the 70s vibe. It was kind of filtered through the energy and almost anger, I think, of the end of the 70s.
Yeah,
So
because I mean the whole punk scene was already
yeah,
going on, right? And of
yeah,
course that's something that I believe. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me on this, but I think the environment is very important when you're making music. What I mean by that is that maybe you can do like progressive rock or whatever, but if there's something else going on, it also gonna get
yeah.
into your writing style. I don't know if you agree with me.
No, absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons that were so different from a lot of our contemporaries. Some of those guys just sounded like they hadn't listened to any other music than those classic albums from the mid 70s. They were kind of locked in some sort of time warp where we kind of think, yeah, we love all that, but there's also all this stuff that's happened since. Be it the Stranglers or the Jam or you know, there's a whole different genre of music that's kind of fed our psyches, as well as classic rock and
Uh-huh.
all those different genres. So it all becomes sort of distilled. Where I grew up in Whitby is a small fishing town, and they had a folk music festival there every year
Okay.
for a week, where everywhere you would go in the town, you'd hear traditional English, Irish, Scottish folk music, and that kind of yeah, that becomes part of your musical heritage too, and that comes through occasionally in how I approach certain things or little parts that I've written in various Marillion songs. So yeah, we're all just like the sum of everything that we've experienced, I think, musically.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And that what you just said makes me think about many other British guitar players that they also have the folk influence. Like for instance, when you hear even Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin,
Oh,
you
definitely,
can
yeah,
tell how the folks right there,
yeah.
or
Oh,
Mark
really? Yeah,
Knopfler or people like that.
yeah.
They all. I mean, you guys have all your folk music influence, and you pour it into the rock music, and I think that's wonderful. That's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
it's probably one of the reasons that makes British rock music have a certain kind of voice, really.
That's right.
Um,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
that's probably what makes it so different than the American rock and roll.
it is really. Yeah, I mean, there's some cool American, you know, like Americana kind of music. There's a great band called the Punch Brothers that I love. That some of what they do is almost proggy in terms of the intricacy of the arrangements and the interplay between the instruments. But it's definitely not folk. It's kind of like American folk, I suppose, like I say, the Americana thing. But
Okay.
there's something particularly, English or even British about the music that's come out of this country.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, there's always also anyway, it's been happening throughout the whole history, right? Like a give and take between both worlds, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said before, you absorbed all these different things. Be it, some bands have more of a classical influence or more of the jazz. But it's like it's. I think when it comes to music, it's like players. You don't want to just listen to one player. You don't want to become a clone of your favorite player. That's just absolutely pointless.
It is.
And I've known players like that who are great at being Jeff Beck, for example, but can't be themselves. So my advice has always been steal from as many different people as possible, because
That's right.
it's going to be that culmination that will eventually give you your original voice, hopefully.
Uh-huh. That's pretty much true. I mean, also I want to I want to talk about your playing style now that we're talking about that. Seems to me like very musical, very tasteful, and I wonder if that's something that you are looking for, with your mind, or if it's something that you just feel the music that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's pretty instinctive. Most of my best solos have been improvised, which I then have to go back and learn what the hell I did. Um,
Okay.
um, I try not to play the obvious thing. I try and play something melodic and that has emotion in it, because of that bending and vibrato is what gives us our voice in the guitar. And for me, that excites me. I'd rather hear one note that just does that than
Uh-huh.
somebody shredding. I mean, sometimes it's good to combine the two, but for me, the guitarists are closest to the human voice in terms of how it can express emotions. So it's hard to express emotion if you're just shredding up and down the neck.
That is true, and sometimes, and I tell you this as a guitar player because I totally understand that feeling, right? Sometimes when you're not thinking, you just play fast, but
Yeah,
when you're really feeling the music, that's when things start to happen, right?
yeah, Yeah,
and
for me, I mean, music is a sort of a form of communication, really. So if you play and you see the audience respond to what you do, like we've done gigs where, I did a gig in Mexico City a few years ago, and there's these guys in the audience, like all in their 30s or 40s or maybe even 50s, with tears streaming down their faces because
yeah,
they're so involved in the music, and music has that power to reach inside people. And I think especially with the guitar, and I think if you can do that, then nothing else matters really. If you can have that direct emotional connection to your
that's true.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's something that either you have or you don't have. It's I mean, you could work at it, but it's something that comes from the heart, and it's not. It doesn't come from practicing and practicing. It comes probably from listening to the music and trying to tell what's best for the music. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's
It sometimes it's like down to playing what is best for the song, even if that's only three notes.
that's
You've got
right.
to kind of listen to the song and play both in terms of a sound as well as a part, just what the song requires to make it more than it was. Really.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's talk about prog music, the label, because for instance, you guys do, or even yourself in your solo career, you also have this emotional component, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when I think about prog music nowadays, the bands that are out there now, they're not as emotional as you guys. They're more focused probably on the technical stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me. Do you like the prog scene with the new bands right now?
I think I hear some interesting things, but kind of prog metal doesn't generally do it for me. I
Okay.
think you can have some of those elements and create some really interesting music. I mean, on the Crudes, I heard Hearken for the first time, and I really like some of what they do.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's not what I would. I tend to listen more to songwriters. I want to hear great songs, great lyrics, great melodies
Uh-huh.
than anything else. So I'm kind of not. Yeah, I'm not fixated on just listening to guitar music. Um, in fact, there's one of my favorite albums is a band by an English band, an album by an English band called Alt J. They've got this album called Perfect Wave, which is quite modern sounding.
Okay.
But again, it's just great arrangements, great melodies, and a lot of creativity, which is kind of what I want to hear.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a so I guess you pay a lot of attention to the songwriter, to the songwriting, and also to the lyrics. Do you participate in the lyrics at all or?
No, no, no. That's sort of Steve Hogarth's job, really. In the earlier days, John Helmer as well when
Uh-huh.
Steve first joined. But no, I think it's. I'd rather concentrate on the music. I've tried to write lyrics a couple of times, but it's not. My daughter's a very good lyricist and songwriter, actually.
Okay,
So,
nice.
but yeah, it's not one of my gifts. Some people have that gift with words, and the same way that some people have it with music. And yeah, singing and lyrics are definitely not on my resume of skills.
Okay. Okay, well, you have let me tell you, you do enough good job with your guitar playing, and everyone enjoys it.
Oh,
So
cheers.
thank you very much for that, for your playing. It's pretty nice. Also, Steve Hogarth, he's the I mean he's a great lyricist by the things that I get, but he's also a very very gifted singer.
Oh, he's got
He
an amazing voice.
his
Yeah.
way of delivering, the story is so special. I mean, it's. I know sometimes people, talk about Fish, and of course he's amazing as well,
Yeah.
in his own style. But Steve's like, I mean, it's very, very serious. I think it's the whole band, right? But his
Yeah.
delivery, of the song is so powerful. I really, really love him.
Yeah, no, he relives every moment when he sings a song. His commitment is 100%. He gives everything. I when I'm playing live, I tend quite often to have my eyes closed because I'm focused on squeezing the maximum amount of emotion and precision maybe out of each note and making it as good as I can humanly make it. But he's doing that while singing, while acting
Yeah,
on.
interacting with the
Yeah.
crowd and everything, right?
So yeah, no, he's a incredibly talented guy.
I mean, you all are, everybody, the whole band, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's. I mean, he's something else. He's very, very impressive. I really love the way he delivers, the way he sings, and his voice has this very warm character. I really, really like him. Really like him.
Yeah, no, we're very lucky to have. I mean, the chemistry that the five of us have got when it comes to writing and performing. But there's something. There's a reason we can still make an album as strong as this last album, even after so many years. It's still this great chemistry between us.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know if that comes from. Do you guys? I guess you guys before the whole pandemic and everything, you guys were all the time on the road, right?
Yeah, a lot of the time, yeah. Not
Hmm.
as much as maybe we once were, but yeah, you would normally make an album every 2 or 3 years and tour. And then we have the Marillion weekends, of course, which kind of takes about 3 months rehearsal, and then we'll do those all around the world. We've got one in Lisbon
Okay.
um, in June, one in Montreal, one in the UK, and the Stockholm one next weekend.
Awesome. So that's why the band sounds so good live, right? Because you guys are taking it seriously and also are playing on a regular basis, and
Yeah.
that's what makes it magical, right? When you guys go on stage.
On a good day, yes.
Well, of course. I mean, but that's
Yeah.
the good thing about being a musician as well. I mean, you're a human being, and you're not gonna be all the time, 100%, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's things out of your control will impact the show. It's usually down to do with keyboards and computers, but it could be anything. I mean, I had a thing the second show we did on Cruise to the Edge. We have in-ear monitors. We have this thing called an Avium, which is like a little personal monitor mixer,
Yes.
which we set up your balance and you have presets and stuff. And we were playing, just started playing the beginning of Care, the last song on the new album,
Okay.
and my system just died completely. So
Oh, wow.
okay. So then all you can do is pull out one of your in-ears and listen to the out front sound and
Yeah.
play along, and you have 2 or 3 roadies running around frantically trying to get it to work again, which they did just in time because we have kind of clicks and countings in different sections for some of the transitions. So if I hadn't have heard that, it could have gone horribly wrong. But again, that's the whole thing about a live performance.
Oh, well, I mean, that's gonna happen eventually. If you're playing live, something one day is gonna fail, of course.
Yeah, no, we have toured so much, so we've had that. Where there might be dodgy power in some country, um, or something dies, some piece of equipment. They'll just because once, like a lot of my gear, once it's toured the world for 30 years, all bets are off. Really, for
Oh,
this,
yeah.
the vibration, the heat cycling. Just the wear and tear. So, I mean, I used to use TC2290 delay units to
Uh-huh.
control a lot of the effects and stuff. And I've got about 5 of them, but they've all kind of more or less died. So I've kind of transitioned to using a gig rig G2 and G3 and free the tone flight time, which is kind of the closest you can get to a 2290 in terms of functionality and sonics. So you just find whatever else you can make the sound that you have in your head with.
That's right. That's right.
But ultimately, it doesn't really matter what you use. It's you can get your sound out of pretty much anything. In fact, let me just show you something.
Okay.
This is you might probably already seen one of these, but this is my latest acquisition, which arrived the other day. It's the Spark Mini.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know what that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is an amazing little box.
Okay.
4 presets. You program it using your phone. You can
Uh-huh.
play backing tracks and all sorts of stuff. And you
Awesome.
can dial in the sound. That is kind of like close enough to what you would be using. That if
To the
you're
real
practicing,
thing,
or
right? Yeah.
it's amazing. And it's battery powered. Runs for 8 hours. Runs as a Bluetooth speaker as well, and a computer interface. So
Wow.
yeah, used to have things like that in my day. But
It's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and also, I've got loads of the old tech gear, valve amps and stuff that in my normal Marillion rig. But
Uh-huh.
with the recent solo shows, I've been using a quad cortex.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
How
I,
do you like it?
I love it. I think I've still got a Kemper. I had 2 Kempers, and that's really good. But the quad cortex feels a lot more like a real amp. The
Got it.
touch
Hmm.
is definitely sort of more accurate. And I use it in a kind of hybrid situation where I send it to either a JC120
Okay.
for some of the old Marillion stuff, or I've got this little power amp on the board with it, which is just sent to like a Marshall 4x12 for,
Okay.
for the kind of power chord or solo stuff. And that works so well. And in this day and age, with Brexit and all the limitations of getting, even if you're hiring gear, what you can sometimes get in some countries. It's a fantastic thing because it's the size of a laptop.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing machine,
Yeah,
and also these guys not only they they not only do that, they also do these amazing plugins,
yeah.
the
No, I've got
neural
a couple of
DSPs.
those. Yeah,
I use a couple of them, here just to play at home, and they're just amazing.
no,
They not only sound great, but they feel great as well.
exactly. That's what they seem to be really good at. I mean, there's talk about them porting all the plugins to the Quad Cortex at some point.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they really do seem to understand the best way of doing it. So that's kind of, I can't imagine it ever replacing my main rig with Marillion, but for solo shows and for certain situations maybe where there's something to be said for something you can throw in your suitcase.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty convenient, and in case you have any, like we said before, you have problems,
Yeah,
like your amp blows out or whatever, you always have a backup, and
exactly. Yeah,
it's a very very high quality backup. It's not
yeah, most
some.
definitely.
Yeah, so it's totally worth it.
Yeah,
It's great nowadays to be a guitar player because you have so many tools at your reach, and it's very
yeah.
very nice.
I don't know what you like, but the thing that I'm trying to stop is buying new stomp boxes, buying new pedals,
Okay.
because I have enough.
Thousands,
There's
probably.
always, you'll kind of read a review of some new whatever sort of pedal. I think the last one was a vibrato pedal I just got.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. The ones that arrived today was the new Ernie Ball volume pedal with the tuner built in.
Oh, okay. Yes, I
In
see.
that,
I know that one. Yes, yes.
yeah, which I thought was a really cool idea.
Uh huh.
Um, and also it gives you a readout of the position of the pedal, which is very good because I use a volume
Oh,
pedal an awful lot. Um,
I guess you do. I mean,
yeah,
based on your style, of course, you're doing a lot of swells and things like that, right?
yeah, it swells, but also just to clean the signal up,
Oh,
depending on the
okay.
patch. Um, so yeah, I use that all the time, especially on the new album actually.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my latest acquisition, but I'm trying not to spend as much money. In fact, I'm selling guitars that I'm not playing, and even some amps and pedals. So you kind of, I think I've still got 4 pedal boards, so I've got enough pedals still. it's, but yeah,
That's
it's
great.
the endless quest.
Uh-huh. Well, that's like a never-ending story, right? Because I
It is
mean,
really, yeah,
everyone's all the time looking for the perfect tone, and all the time there's always that something that it's like it's close but not quite there. So let me
Yeah,
try this other thing, you know.
yeah,
But I wanted to ask you about your clean tone because it's so clean. I mean, as a matter of fact, I
yeah.
wanted
Well,
to ask you because I think you use the JC pretty often, the jazz chorus,
yeah, I
right?
used the JC up until about 1998.
Okay.
All the clean stuff is the JC, and then after that, it's the Groove Tubes Trio, the clean channel of that,
Oh,
which has got
okay.
a little bit more warmth and a touch of compression to it.
Got it.
So it's not. The thing is, you've got to be careful with the JC because it, with all these things, it's like a marriage. Certain guitars with certain effects and certain amplifiers just
That's
work
right.
so well. For
That's
me,
right.
like my Strats with AMG SA pickups, things like the Boss DS1 distortion with some delay into a JC 120 is my kind of classic lead sound through the 80s and most of the 90s.
Okay.
But then when I started using the Groove Tubes Trio, it's got a great solo sound that's like a valve overdriven solo sound.
Okay.
So everything pretty much since then has been the Trio. Then on my solo album, I've got a pitcher amp, which is an American. It's like a Dumble clone,
Oh, okay.
which is a really nice amp, which I tend to run clean and use pedals for overdrive. A
So it's a
Kingsley
good
Jester,
pedal platform.
yeah, Kingsley Jester valve overdrive, and a King of Tone or Prince of Tone distortion.
Oh, yes, I know that
Yeah,
one. Yes, very
yeah,
good.
yeah. So they work really well. So that's, it's like certain guitars, certain amps. Like my Trio works okay with the Strats, but it's my Blade Strat that works the best with two
Uh-huh.
singles and a humbucker, and that's just, there isn't a bad sound that you can get out of that combination. No matter how hard you would try.
No matter how hard you try, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you usually use a Strat style guitars with a humbucker on the bridge?
Yeah, I mean, the early Marillion stuff, like I say, up until 90s, it's three single coils. And then from about the same time I started using the Groove Tubes Trio, I used the Blade RH4, which is two singles and a humbucker with a mid boost that you can flick in. Um, and on my solo album, I use a guitar made by an American called Jack Dent from Winston-Salem in North Carolina. I don't think he makes guitars anymore, but he made me half a dozen different sort of guitars, which I've used on different albums over the years.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, but sometimes I'll use a Telecaster, either a Blade or a Fender. I've got pretty much one of everything, and I've got a Les Paul. I've got a really nice guitar that Jack made with P90s on, which has got a great,
Wow, I love P90s.
yeah, it's got a
They're
great
pretty special,
gnarly.
right? Because they give you something else, something different.
Yeah, they've got the bite of the single coil, but they've got this extra grit to them that's really a lot of character.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got a Steinberg double neck that was custom made for me
Nice.
in the, God, when would that have been, in the early 90s. It's, as far as I know, it's the only one in the world with three single coils, because it's normally two singles and a humbucker.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's probably the most valuable guitar that I own by far. But I use that now and again, and I've got an Italia 12-string that I use occasionally on the album. So yeah, I've got enough choices when it comes to guitars.
That's right. How many do you have? Do you know exactly?
30-ish.
Okay. Well, I think that's enough to get a good tone, and you
It
do get
is.
it for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something because I'm curious as to what was the how did you achieve this sound? There's a very clean tone. It seems to me like one of your trademark sounds in your solo album from 2014, The Ghosts of Pripyat.
Yeah.
Uh, by the way, amazing album.
Oh,
Very,
cheers.
very beautiful. Very
Thank you.
beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I don't remember right now the title of the song, but there's a very clean tone. I don't know if you remember how did you get that sound?
Well, that was using one of Jack's guitars. this signature guitar I made, which is, again, it's like my blades, it's 2 singles and a humbucker. So it would have been using the single coil on that with the
Okay.
pitcher amp, which has a really lovely clean sound.
Oh, so it wasn't the JC. Okay, got it.
No,
It
no,
was.
that would all have been done on the pitcher, and just different pedals. Occasionally, I'll use compression, but not very often.
Uh-huh.
Different sorts of delays and reverbs, different sorts of modulation, vibrato, tremolo, chorus. There's a really fast chorus sound that I use a couple of times on that album. It's an Analogman micro chorus,
Okay.
which
Got it.
is such a great pedal. It's probably one of my favorite chorus pedals.
Those guys make amazing pedals, by the way.
Yeah, no, Mike Pierre is a genius. He really does know his stuff.
He really does. That's pretty cool. So have you had the chance to try the Vegatrem yet?
Yeah, no, I've got them on several of my guitars. I absolutely love them. I've not put them on my main blade yet, just because I'm nervous about changing anything to do with that. But
Of course.
they're
Yes.
on 3 of my other blades, and yeah, I just love. It's very expressive. It doesn't pull back when you bend a string. It seems to keep in tune really well. Yeah, it's just it ticks all the boxes of what you would want a trem to do, basically.
Nice.
Yeah, no, genius is all I can say. Great,
Nice. Well,
great bit of
thank you.
design. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool thing for sure. Okay, so I also want to ask you about something that I saw on your website. Uh, I mean, I was mesmerized because there's a video. It's called La Silla, you know.
Oh, right, yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that, please.
Wow. Well, it's a track from it's been an ongoing process for the last 3.5 years. My next instrumental album. It's called Rhythm Tule, and it's all space themed tracks. I was lucky to. I have a friend who works for ESO, the European Southern Observatories, that run all the observatories in Chile,
Okay.
and I've been there 3 times. Last time, July 2019, we got invited to play at the full solar eclipse there. So,
Nice.
as you see in that video, we're playing there underneath the big dish, as all the lights go out, basically, which was just such a mind blowing experience.
Right? It must have been incredible, right?
It really was. We played all 3 of their observatories. We played there, then we went to Paranal, which is an amazing place. It's got these 5 giant telescopes on the top of this mountain, one of which shines lasers into the atmosphere to measure the atmospheric distortion. And it's got loads of little mirrors that compensate for the distortion. But anyway, they actually fired. We were shooting a video in the middle of the night up there on the platform, and they fired the laser for us. So we forget Pink Floyd. We had these lasers shooting out of this amazing.
Well, that's much better than any other light work that
Yeah,
you can think of, right?
exactly. Yeah. So that's for a track called Moonrise over Paranal. That's one of the other tracks that's finished. I've got 3 tracks finished on this album. Those 2, and a track called X15, which is like a short, quite melodic instrumental bit that Steve Hackett guests on as well.
Okay.
And that's it's a really cool idea, and it comes back to an idea from a jam that I had with Pete from Marillion and my friend Paul Craddock, who is a drummer who was in a band called Enchant, and then he was in the Wishing Tree, my other solo project, and it was during the making of the Brave album. So it's that long ago. It was like early '94. So this idea is basically sat on the shelf for nearly 30 years.
Wow.
And then I've taken it and thought, wow, this could work really well, and re-edited it, because it was just like 2 jams, each about 2 minutes long, that I then combined and wrote a whole new section in the middle of it, where it's got this great drop down kind of choral, spacey kind of moment. That's probably going to come out in September. It all depends how my progress goes with the rest of the album, because I'd like to launch a crowdfunding campaign for it maybe in September with that, and release it in March of next year is
Okay.
my current plan. But it's been put back so many times because of the pandemic, and then all my energy focused on the Marillion album, really, and then rehearsing. But there's about 4 ideas, maybe half finished. So I'm hoping to pull the rabbit out of the hat and finish that at some point.
I mean, it's an amazing. It's first of all amazing song. The textures and everything. The way it builds up and everything, but also the images is just breathtaking. It's incredible. And you know what? We're gonna play it. We're gonna play it here for all the audience, for everybody, so everybody can see
Oh,
it.
excellent.
And then we're gonna continue with the interview.
Okay, cool.
Let's watch this.
Some of the guitar on that is actually live. Well, you can tell the parts that I'm playing live. And I just used one of the Boss Katana combos.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, it's like I was saying before. It's about if you have the sound in your head, you will take whatever technology there is around to bend it to your will to kind of give you more or less what you're looking for.
I couldn't agree more. It's
Yeah,
like it's the same thing that happens. Like I don't know if you've seen like a video of Joe Satriani playing through a $100 guitar. You know, like a
yeah, I
very
think I've
cheap
seen that.
guitar,
Yeah,
and he sounds like himself. You know,
yeah,
because he has the sound in his fingers. You know,
yeah,
the same way you do it, the same way all the great players do it. You know,
yeah.
because it's not on the gear, it's on the on your head and on
No,
your
it's all
fingers.
those. Yeah, it's all those little things, Yeah, as you know, how you hold the pick, what sort of pick you use, your hand position. Well, that's one of the things that I noticed. Is you can play exactly the same thing like with a a dropped hand position, or most of the time my thumb is around the neck because I use that for bending and also sometimes to play bass notes.
Uh-huh.
But playing the same like two or three notes both ways, you can hear a difference.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's just all these little, almost intangible things all add up to how why it sounds like it sounds when you play as opposed to the guy next to you. It's such a curious thing with
It
the
is.
guitar.
It is. It's and this is one of the things why we all love guitar, right?
Yeah,
Because for instance, I remember I was trying to learn a BB King solo, right? And I was feeling pretty cocky, you know. I was like,
yeah,
ah, this is just a couple of, a couple of notes, just some vibrato, and I was like, it doesn't sound like it. It
yeah,
doesn't. It doesn't. I
yeah,
mean, I just can't make it sound like him, you know.
yeah,
And that's why he's so great, you know. Yeah,
yeah.
it might seem easy, but it's not gonna sound.
No,
I mean, you
yeah,
since I'm not BB King, it's not gonna sound like BB King at
no,
all ever. And that's the
yeah.
beauty of the instrument.
It is, yeah, yeah. And in fact, some players, can play literally play in any style. I mean, there's some amazing technicians out there. People like Guthrie Govan who just,
Oh, I mean,
you know,
he's awesome. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but those people are few and far between.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of players, a lot of gifted players, and they have all this, this capacity of communicating. He's very very talented, but I mean, the most important thing is also having your own sound, your own way of saying things, and that's very important in my opinion.
As well, if you're an amazing musician technically, there's always maybe a self pressure to show people how great you are.
You're,
Um,
you're right. Yes.
and sometimes I know with Guthrie, with Stephen Wilson, there was one of the solos where Guthrie had broken a string, and Stephen wouldn't let him change the string, so he had to play the solo on five strings just
Okay.
to slow him down, to make him think differently. And it's a
Yeah.
great solo that he. But maybe sometimes those hyper musicians need that some sort of way of putting the brakes on a little bit and
Oh yeah.
play something for us mortals.
That's right. Yeah, and also that's what we were talking about earlier, you know?
Yeah.
It makes you because it makes you get more into the music, you know, and think about what you're gonna say with it, right? How you're gonna deliver your message to the people.
Yeah, and I think also it depends what your audience is. If you're playing to impress other guitarists, or if you're just playing for the normal guy in the street or girl
Uh-huh.
in the street, if why are you doing it?
Yeah.
If there'll always be somebody faster. If you go, like say, you go on YouTube or Instagram, they're usually about 9 years old, and they're kind of the next generation of hyper shredders. So why even play that game? Do
Yeah.
something that will make people cry. That you're a lot better off.
That's true. That's true for sure. Do you ever feel like pressure if you know there's a guitar player that you admire in the audience?
No, the only thing that's sometimes off-putting. Well, two things. It's like if there's somebody who's obviously a musician in the front row, and you see their fingers playing along to you. There's this one time. There's this guy down the front row filming it, but not on his phone, on this iPad that's about this big.
Oh no!
You know, and you're just like, you don't want that.
Of course not.
You know, you can close your eyes, but if you just open them for a fraction of a second and you see someone with the equivalent of a TV in the front row, it's very, very off-putting.
Yeah, that's true. So do you ever get also, I mean, maybe some people in the audience, they like to take pictures of your gear, maybe of your pedals, of your stuff.
Yeah, you get all that all the time, and you know, you kind of get asked. I've got no secrets when it comes to it. It's a lot of it is very basic, really. It's just how you put it together and how you approach, you know, what that sound is you have in your head, really.
That's right. Well, I just remember something very, very funny that I saw on the internet once. It was a pedal board from someone, I don't know, I don't remember who it was, but there was a sticker in front of the pedal board, and it was like, "Stop geeking out and go talk to some girl."
Yeah, yeah. Again, you know, who are you trying to impress with your playing? Is it the guy or the girl? Yeah,
that's right. So it was very funny. You know, sometimes guitar players we get into ourselves too much, you know, and we forget about the rest of about the music, about the, you know, what you've been saying all the time. You know, it's a matter of communicating with the people rather than impressing your peers.
Yeah, music has such power in people's lives. Be it it represents those moments in your life, you know, and has that power to take you back, transport you back to whatever age you were when that record came out, or it can, you know, like in the times we've been through with the pandemic, you know, it can be uplifting, it can be life affirming. I mean, tracks like "Care" from the new album, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, it encapsulates and heals people in some ways. I think, you know, for all the grief that they've had, and maybe losing loved ones and not being able, you know, it's been terrible not being able to see your family for, you know, in our case, nearly a year, our son and daughter. You know, it's
been pretty hard. I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and it's the very impressive thing is that it's been worldwide, you know. So we all we are, you are in the UK, I'm here in Spain, and we're talking about the same thing that happened at the same time, and the whole world was shattered because of it, you know. So we're living pretty strange times, and I think music's helping a lot, you know. So that's why, I mean, people like Marillion right now with your new record can like help a lot of people, you know, that are probably struggling.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
It's very, very, very important, and I mean, it's an amazing job. So kudos to you guys.
Oh, thank you. It's emotional when, you know, when you play those songs live, really, and you see that reaction. Yeah, music can mean so many things. I mean, playing the guitar, it can be a party, it can be a protest song, you know, it can be encapsulate all these different emotions and feelings and moods. But yeah, on the right night, there's just nothing like it, really. It's a fundamental part of our existence, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and whoever doesn't see it like that is a fool, in my opinion.
Yes, no, some people do, some people don't get music, and I think music's become devalued by the fact that it's everywhere, it's free. You know, most people don't have that whole thing of getting a new record and cherishing it and the experience of you know, reading the lyrics or even the equivalent list if you're a guitar nerd. But you know what I mean? It's been about more than just the music, the whole experience. And I think we've lost that to a major degree. And yeah, maybe that's kind of like a one-way street. It will never come back to that extent. But I think there's still people of a certain age that maybe want to have physical products still, and they're the ones that pay our mortgage.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, for sure, times changed. Maybe for music, times are way harder now than maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But there's something that is not changing, in my opinion. Just to say something positive about it.
Yeah,
Like for instance, 3 days ago here in my town, there was the first post-pandemic festival.
cool, excellent.
And you couldn't believe how happy I was,
Oh yeah,
just enjoying live music. I didn't really care the style of music. I didn't really
yeah,
care about anything. I was just happy that I was enjoying live music,
yeah.
and there was a band playing in front of me, and all the people were together, having a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
And that will never change.
No, no, that's true. Yeah, it's just I feel sorry for young musicians who are starting out because the music industry that I grew up through doesn't exist anymore, really.
Yeah,
So, and you can be a YouTube or Instagram star, but you might still not earn enough to pay your rent.
that's right. That's right.
Um, so it's almost like if you're the old generation, you can still scrape by and make a living. But any of the younger bands, I mean, some of them need to have a normal job as well, and music's almost like a hobby, which it's
Yeah,
sad, but that's a fact of the way that things have gone, really.
it is sad. It is pretty sad. Yeah, but I mean, it's the only thing we can do right now. Sometimes people, when you talk to younger musicians, it's the world they grew up in.
Yeah,
So for them, it's already normal.
no, absolutely, and in a way, the journey is the reward. Playing music, you shouldn't do it because you think you're going to get famous or you think you're going to get rich. You should do it just because the joy in creating and playing live music is, you're bringing something beautiful into the world.
That's
Um,
right.
and that it's like a vacation. If that's what you want to do with your life, then fine. Find some other ways to feed yourself or to pay the rent. But there's nothing more worthy than music.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Steve, for doing this.
Oh,
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for belonging to the Vegatrem family, of
you're
course.
very welcome. I'm very
And
honored
talk,
to be part of it.
yeah. And talking about Vegatrem, I'm gonna say we have a discount code every night with which people can go to our website and purchase a VT1 for a discount. So today's discount is Rothery #43. That's the discount code Rothery #43. I'm gonna say it also in Spanish. Okay.
Okay.
El código de descuento es Rothery hashtag el símbolo de hashtag 43, todo en minúsculas, all in lower caps. Rothery #43. That's the discount for today. So well, it's been a great honor to have you, Steve Rothery from Marillion, and I mean it's incredible. Congratulations for the new record because it's very 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 beautiful, and hopefully you guys are gonna be able to play it live everywhere, right? That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. No, we've got a big tour September, October, November around Europe, and we have these Marillion weekends. We're going to do a load more next year, so yeah, we'll finish up visiting most countries in the world, I think.
Okay. Any chance you guys coming from to Spain?
Yeah, that's been talked about. It's not definite yet, but it's a strong possibility.
Because I'll be there for sure.
Oh, excellent! Look forward to it.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. Well, thank you very much, Steve.
Cheers.
You guys, we're gonna leave it here. So till next week, be safe, be happy, and play a lot your guitar. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.